Hello there, my name is Old Sauce Boss, some people call me Bruce, and this is my semi-supreme one-chunk Ironman, Grim Chunker. Now you may know what a chunk account is. There are countless series of people taking on this challenge where the map is divided up into chunks, and in order to unlock a new chunk, you must first complete every task your chunk has, getting the highest level for tasks possible and the best in-slot gear. What you may not know is what the heck is a semi-supreme, and can I order it from Taco Bell? Most series you see are labeled somewhere between vanilla and extreme, but supreme is a special breed of masochist originated by Buzz RS and made famous by Hannibal and his Sears Supreme account. As a semi-supreme, I follow almost all the rules of a supreme. I must activate the highest level prayer I have access to, unlock all permanent unlocks like bank space, and I must get the skilling pets as soon as they become available. Meaning, if there's a normal tree in my chunk, I have to get a beaver before I can leave. There's one major difference between full Supremes and myself. Supremes must get every drop from every unique monster, so if two monsters drop bones, the Supreme must get bones from both monsters. My rules are I must only get each drop once for the life of the character, so I would only need to get bones from one of the two monsters. However, I must kill one of each monster in every chunk, and when I say every drop, I mean every drop. Yes, that includes the gem and rare drop tables. So why did I make this change? Honestly, the seed drop table. I couldn't imagine finding the motivation to kill 100,000 Anku for a Torstal seed drop I had already gotten from a 1 in 7k drop elsewhere. And honestly, the Anku isn't the worst possibility. This rule makes it so chunks can last almost 2 decades, or firmly put you at 3 times rank 1 for a boss. And I know that would be the death of this account. I wouldn't be able to do it. The last unique thing I have is to get best in slot not just for the normal categories, but all possible styles. One-handed, two-handed, flinching, tanking, prayer, and best in slot skilling items as well. Now that we got the rules out of the way, let's get into the tasks. I'm starting this in the Fribnik chunk right here outside of Keldagrim, which gives me access to the shoreline, the tunnel here, the entirety of Keldagrim, and with how chunkers work, connected underground areas are unlocked, meaning I have access to the entirety of the Dwarven mines, including Motherlode Mine and the Mining Guild. What does this mean for tasks? Well, I have to get 92 mining to mine amethyst in the Mining Guild, and I have to get the Rock Golem pet. 99 smithing in order to make all rune items. 40 attack, defense, strength, and range to wear all of those rune items. 52 prayer to activate smite, and 89 crafting to make amethyst dart tips. All of this is without boosting. I know some accounts do boosting, but to me it feels like the task is to get 99 smithing. I want to get 99 smithing. The same way some people say travel must be permanent in 2 ways, I think the skill needs to be permanent. So that at any point I can make any rune items provided I have the bars and an anvil. For getting the best in slot gear a little early, I have no issue boosting up so that I can have a rune scimitar 1 level early for killing things, but the final skill level must be attained without boosting. In addition to the skills, I need to complete as much of the giant dwarf quests and the Falador and Fribnik achievement diaries as I can. I need to greenlog Motherlode Mine, including unlocking the Big Sack and the Upper Hopper. Make the expert mining gloves in the Mining Guild, purchase my first extra bank space, we'll talk about that more later, and kill one of each and get all unique drops from rats, dwarves, dwarf gang members, scorpions, king scorpions, rock crabs, blackguards, blackguard berserkers, and mountain trolls, including the curved bone, long bone, and a 1 in 7k Torstal seed drop. That's a lot. 167 tasks in total, ignoring the meme grind that is the Onyx. All in all, we are talking about over 750 active hours, not including downtime, testing strategies, banking, AFK, and generally me being incredibly inefficient. Of course, there's the looming risk of going dry on the Rock Golem. Skilling pets have derailed Supreme accounts, causing them to spend years in a single chunk. I'm starting as a hardcore Ironman. There's no goal associated with this. I just figured the first chunk isn't too dangerous. Let's see how long I keep it for. We started the Giant Dwarf quest and made our way into the city of Keldagrim, completing the quest as far as we could before starting our first major grind, mining. Ideally, we want to make it to the Motherlode mine, so to start, I sold a rake I picked up off the ground for 2 GP and bought a bronze pickaxe, then headed across the river to mine copper until we were able to mine iron. The levels came reasonably fast. I was busy sorting out recording and looking up grinds and costs, so it took maybe an hour. At level 15, we've unlocked iron. The iron spots over here are a little funky and less than ideal, so we will get enough to be able to afford a ticket on the minecart to the Dwarven Mines, which costs 150 gold. Drogo the dwarf over there buys iron ore at a pretty solid rate, and there's a bunch of iron rocks as well. Our very first minecart ride, we are going to be doing this a lot. I explored the new area, got a sweet new bronze chain body, sold some ores to Drogo, bought a new shiny iron pickaxe, and got to the mining grind. Jump forward to 25 mining, we are zooming through levels over here and selling our ore to Drogo for some cash. 30 is our main goal. And level 30, we can now enter the Motherlode mine. I killed my first rat on the way to the Motherlode mine, so that's a task complete. We entered the Motherlode mine and fixed a strut for a Falador task. I used some of the gold we have to buy a steel scimitar. Now that we have access to the Motherlode mine, it's time to knock out some combat tasks. I decided to set up over here and kill a rat, mine an ore, and so on to get mining XP. That's 5 attack. We can now use this steel simi we just bought, and we will now switch over to strength, and at the same time we get 31 mining. After I get an inventory here, I go sell it to Drogo to get some GP. This isn't enough to really impact the later smithing grind versus what we'll get from Motherlode, so I don't feel like I'm wasting iron here or anything. Strength level 10. Yes, I did do the randoms. I'll keep you updated once we get lamps and hit notable milestones. You've all seen randoms. I just feel like it'll bog things down if I spend too much time on them. We're going to need some defense for a bit before attempting to kill dwarves. This will be our first mini combat grind, trying to get all items needed from dwarves. And so long, dwarf, that is another task completed, our first dwarf killed. The dwarves drop table is pretty simple. Everything here is less than 1 in 128 drop rate, and 17 total items ignoring the gem table. With bones secured, that's only 16 items remaining. We assume we'll probably get the gem table across all the different things we're attacking, so I'm not focused on trying to get it with any one monster. That's a bronze med helm, task complete. Decided to buy some food in Keldagrim and a pair of leather gloves. They're cheap and best in slot, so that's another task complete. We upgraded our gear as well to some steel armor. Back to dwarves where we knocked out coins, hammer, the bronze pickaxe, all while getting 15 strength. Day 2, kills were a bit tougher than I expected, so I decided to kill a few more rats to get my attack and defense levels up to level 15 attack and level 15 defense, and then we go right back to killing dwarves. Couple more tasks complete with iron ore, nature rune, and the rare nothing drop. That's half the drops from dwarves completed. Chaos rune drop, copper ore drop, bronze bar, bronze bolts, and 20 strength, 20 combat. Coal, 10 ore. I've been burying all the bones along the way, so that puts us at 5 prayer and 25 strength. Nothing too dangerous. We're going to be a hardcore. Well, I walked away while fighting a dwarf, and I guess he absolutely obliterated me. Unfortunately, I don't have a replay. I would show it. And now the great teleport of shame back to the chunk. Ugh. Wasn't expecting to hit the gym table from dwarves, but that's the emerald, iron bar, and our first lamp. The best strategy for me is probably agility. Being able to run more is always good, especially for blast furnace. The highest agility requirement in the chunk is 46, but at level 30, we can use the pedals in the blast furnace to train, which is a pretty chill and AFK method. So we're gonna put this into agility. There's the iron battle axe. I got the steel baguette. I was in a meeting, so I couldn't react. I've never gotten a steel baguette. What the heck? That's my first mystery box. This account is blessed. This voiceover is from later, and I still can't get over the fact I got a stale baguette on my second day from my first Quizmaster. So I said it was my first mystery box. That is also my first Quizmaster. It's so stupid. Oh my god, it's awesome. Much less exciting, bronze battle axe, but means we only have one drop left, the beginner clue scroll. Level 30 strength, we can now use the blast furnace pumping to train strength. That'll be really great for AFK training early on. I'm just gonna have to put public chat on mute. We got our attack level up to level 30. We're almost 3 times dry for the beginner's clue scroll, so maybe all our luck went towards the baguette. And there it is at kill 388, just over 3 times dry on our first RNG based grind. But this was a pretty easy one outside of the death. We don't talk about the death, so glad to have it out of the way. I know it's only day 3, but we're gonna take a slight fork in the road for the rest of this video. One thing I was told early on was to break up grinds when you can and do multiple things at once so you don't burn out. In order to keep this coherent, as opposed to jumping around between the 150 different tasks I still have to do, I'm gonna break this up into 2 videos. For this video, we'll focus in on mining and smithing grinds. The next video go over the crafting and drop table grinds. This means you'll see hit point levels I don't address. I might reference killing blackguards or crafting. None of this should have any impact on these grinds. The only spoiler worth calling out is I do get 40 attack, strength, defense, and range at some point in this chunk before the video ends. That's the only really relevant spoiler. Okay, so if there's weird jumps or things, that's why. I think it'll make more coherent sense. I promise, just stick with me here. Finally, on to the Motherlode mine with our first combat grind out of the way. The Motherlode mine is an expansive training area introduced early on in the lifespan of old school RuneScape. And though it's seen some changes since 2014, the core concept remains the same. Mine at the veins, get pay dirt, clean the pay dirt, get your ores at the end based on your current mining level. Amongst the ores, you'll find gold nuggets. These can be used to buy prospector's gear, which give you a boost to your mining experience, a coal bag, which holds extra coal, a gem bag, which holds extra gems, a bag full of gems, which is a bag full of uncut gems, and then the permanent upgrades for the area. Upstairs, which is accessible at level 57, use of the upstairs hopper, and a bigger sack. Between clogs, permanent unlocks, and skilling best in slots, we should knock out 20 tasks right here in the Motherlode mine, and of course inch closer to 92 mining, and every pay dirt is a roll closer to the Rock Golem, right? Hopefully. You don't actually have to get the collection log slot at the place the collection log is associated with. So when we get prospectors, we actually are knocking out multiple tasks at the same time. I didn't really clarify that originally, so I'm coming back and adding that in now. So when we get the prospector hat, we get it for our best in slot skilling gear. We get it for the Motherlode mine clog, but then we also get it for the volcanic mine clog because you can get prospector over there. So It is a little bit double dipping in tasks and kind of does inflate the total task count a little bit, but it means if we ever for some reason roll volcanic mine, we already have that clog slot done and don't have to do it then. Our very first Motherlode mine inventory done with over 30 mining and attack, it didn't make sense to keep using a steel pick. So I decided to smith some bronze items up to level 5 smithing, sell them, sell some iron ore, and buy myself a brand new shiny mithril pick. I yearn for the mines, so back to Motherlode mine for a while. 40 mining, 45 mining, 50 mining. It's about time for a pick upgrade. Unfortunately, rune picks are really expensive, and selling iron is not the best plan, as that iron will be useful for smithing. Level 40 smithing is needed to make gold, which will get us our best GP for now. So to get that, we're going to do the age-old strategy used by chunkers and UIMs alike, strut world hopping. Every so often, these struts break and can be repaired by a hammer for 1.5 your XP of your smithing level. So the higher your level, the more XP you get. This means in early levels, one additional level actually increases your rates by a decent percentage. So by drinking a dwarven stout, you can get some extra smithing XP out of the process. Struts operate on a cadence of 58 seconds. After 2 rounds of 58 seconds, or just under 2 minutes, it rolls for a chance to break, and then rolls again every 58 seconds after that with a guaranteed break on the 4th roll, or 3 minutes and 52 seconds. So to optimize XP, it's best to world hop between at least 20 worlds and fix the struts as they're broken in each world. We world hopped up to 40 smithing. This took about 9 hours of world hopping, and this unlocks gold. And it's time to check out the star of the Keldagrim chunk, the Blast Furnace. The Blast Furnace is one of the best ways to train smithing for any account, not just chunkers. While it can be done on non-Blast Furnace worlds, it's much easier on the official Blast Furnace world. Off-world, in order to get the Blast Furnace to work, you need to maintain coal levels at the furnace, pump, repair pipes and cogs, man the pedals to keep the conveyor belt flowing, or you can pay money on the Blast Furnace world to have a crack team of dwarves and numpty do all that for you. The normal flow is put some money in this coffer, grab your ores from the bank, run over to the conveyor belt, put them on the conveyor belt, then using a bucket of water, or ice clubs for most accounts, cool the bar, bank, grab new ores, and repeat. If you're lower than level 60 like I am, you also have to pay a 2,500 GP fee to the foreman here for 10 minutes of usage. And the coffer costs roughly 72k an hour, working out to around 87k an hour. So although you can do this at level 1, it's not really economically viable since you can only make bronze. I struggled massively to get the first payment to work, finding the right command, doing it on the right world. It was super annoying. I made 189 gold bars and an inventory of steel bars. Turned the steel bars into a couple of steel knives, and then some steel square shields, which I could sell to the armor store in Keldagrim. Back in the Dwarven Mines, Drogo will buy the gold bars for 210 each. Selling all these bars leaves us with roughly 41k, more than enough to buy a rune pickaxe, which Narmoth sells for 32k. And that's a best in slot complete for skilling. Probably the best mining pickaxe we're going to have for a very, very long time. And back to the Motherlode mine. Although we got 57 mining, we don't have enough nuggets yet to unlock upstairs. From an overall efficiency perspective, it's best to unlock upstairs, then the upstairs hopper, then full prospectors. I'll explain upstairs as we unlock it. Knocked out 60 mining, which gives us access to the mining guild when we decide to go over there, and earned enough nuggets to unlock upstairs. For 100 gold nuggets, you can unlock the upper level. In addition to being technically closer to the hopper and bank, the veins up here drain much slower. Unlike normal rocks, Motherlode mine veins deplete after 23 to 27 seconds from when you first get pay dirt. The upstairs veins deplete every 36 to 40 seconds, meaning more mining XP while also being less focused and facing less competition. There's a special hopper up here for only 50 nuggets, which we knocked out in a few levels and hours. This makes the XP rates even faster since I don't have to go up and down the ladder. Those are both permanent unlocks and tasks complete, and a great way to end our first week. I think the first lamping level is the most tedious because normally level 2 is really fast, but because you're trying to get all the randoms done and it takes 9 lamps to get the first level, it just feels like it takes a while. We are level 2 agility. I will check back in at level 30. We hit 65 mining and got enough gold nuggets to buy our prospector jacket and prospector legs. Both tasks complete. Each piece also gives bonus mining experience, and based on the rates, it's more efficient to buy the most expensive piece first. Nice. 70 mining, quickly followed by the prospector helmet and the prospector boots. That is actually prospectors complete at level 70 mining, and now we're moving on to the coal bag. The coal bag allows us to store extra coal in our inventory. This will be critical for blast furnace down the line, but also it's incredibly useful for the mining guild grind. I know these items are coming fast, but they're actually taking time between each one, I promise. And now that we have the coal bag, we'll take a break from Motherlode Mine and go check out the mining guild. That's a diary task complete, entering the mining guild. The mining guild requires level 60 mining to enter and has ore rocks all the way up to rune, and then the amethyst mines, which require level 92 and is one of our primary chunk goals. Additionally, as you mine here, you have a chance to find unidentified minerals, which you can trade to Bologna for mining gloves. Expert mining gloves, and then combine those into superior mining gloves, all of which are tasks. Additionally, these gloves make it so you have a chance of mining an ore without depleting the rock. There are essentially two options here for the grind. If I was focused and paying attention, I set up at all 3 iron rocks, mining them. This is definitely more click intensive, but better XP. If I was only partially focused or not wanting to click as much, I got out my coal bag and mined coal. Getting the unidentified minerals doesn't take too long, and we closed out the week 2, getting our first set of mining gloves. And after some more mining, that's expert mining gloves complete, another task and clog checked off, and to follow that up, we got enough unidentified minerals to combine them into superior mining gloves, and that is the mining guild green logged. I'll probably come back here sometimes after finishing the Motherlode mine tasks on the way to 92 mining and the Rock Golem. Any future unidentified minerals will be used on bags of gems to help the crafting grind. We then return to the Motherlode mine to cap off 80 mining and get enough nuggets for the bigger sack. Bigger sack is sort of an upgrade for AFK, but it's also the most expensive item at 200 nuggets. So in the grand scheme of things, it's not better than everything else we've already bought from an efficiency perspective. And honestly, if I wasn't a chunker account, I would not buy the bigger sack. The sack can now store 81 additional ore for a total of 189 pay dirt. We have just one more item left, the gem bag, and then we have green logged Motherlode mine already. What the heck? There's no freaking way. There's no way. Oh my god. I was not paying attention. I was watching wrestling. I had it fully in my mind I was going to go to 99 and, you know, get a bunch of ores and gems and, oh no. This changes, I think this changes our strategy a lot. I don't know if mining past 92 makes sense. There's way more efficient ways to train both smithing and crafting. Look at the little guy. Look at him. It's insane. So Motherlode mine at my level has roughly a 1 in 245,000 chance of getting the Rock Golem. Coupled with all the iron ore and coal we mined, if you had 100 accounts do the exact same thing we just did, 12 of them would have gotten the Rock Golem pet by now, including mine. That's insane spoonage. The baguette, the Rock Golem. I'm starting to think this is truly the blessed account. He says cautiously, knowing he's now going to go 2 years dry for the beaver pet. That gives us enough nuggets to buy the gym bag. What a way to close out the third week in this chunk. Rock Golem, greenlogged Motherlode mine, greenlogged the mining guild, all before 83 mining. Continuing on the grind at Motherlode, this is where we're going to do a lot of our mining, just because it gives us a good amount of ores. It's easy to do other things at the same time. I usually have this up while I'm working or watching something else, and it's pretty straightforward. And we got 85 mining, which unlocks rune ore. Of course, we're going to go mine some for the first time. There it is, rune ore. So cool. I'm really glad I didn't get sniped on that. If I had mined for that entire time and a bot just showed up, I would have been angry. To celebrate, we took a break from mining and decided to do some smithing. Got 45 smithing at the struts to close out the first month on this account. In order to do blast furnace, since I can't obtain ice gloves, I have to use buckets of water. I could do this during the run and fill up water, but since I'm tight on gold, feels like a waste since every second matters at the blast furnace. Also, this is kind of nice. I don't know why, but it's just nice to sit here and fill up buckets. So I made some batches of gold here. There are no major levels as we only did this for about 10 minutes. And that got us just over 500 gold bars. We spent 14.5K to do that. And after selling all these bars, our cash stack is just over 100K. The first white cash stack, definitely worth it. It sets us up to go back to the blast furnace later and really do some longer grinds. But, you know, nice little break. We're going to go back to Motherlode mine. 86 mining. So this clip's a little weird. I was really quiet while doing this because it was late at night, but I was in the Motherlode mine for about an hour and didn't see a single other person. This was during RuneFest, so maybe everyone was there, I guess. I don't know, but going a full hour was crazy. It was also really annoying because I kept having to fix the strut, but I didn't hop worlds because I was like, surely someone will show up, or maybe no one will, which is also equally weird and interesting. And we are on to the home stretch of the mining grind. There's no big accomplishments here besides levels. So 87 mining, 88 mining, 89 mining. I interrupt this level fest to bring you 13 gold nuggets in a single batch. On average, you'd expect 5 or 6 nuggets per big sack. So 13 is an insane amount of gold nuggets. This is what's interesting to me at this point. So back to your regularly scheduled mining levels. 90 mining. I know I'm not showing a whole lot here, but it's just Motherlode mine runs. That's all I'm doing. I'll recap how many ores I got and all that stuff at the end, but for now, I'm literally just doing Motherlode mine. 91 mining, one more level. 92 mining. We can now mine amethyst. Let's go do that. So while we're taking a while to mine our first amethyst, over the final 3 weeks of this grind, we were getting on average about 2,500 ores and 200K mining XP a day. More importantly, by the end of this, we have roughly 3.2 million smithing XP banked in primary ores. Motherlode mine, as you progress, provides a lot more myth, addy, and gold, and a lot less coal. So we'll need to get more coal. And there's our amethyst. Let's give it to this guy and the beginning of a new era. With mining done, we make our way to the blast furnace, which will be our home for the next few hundred hours. Alright, so now that we're at the blast furnace, let's go over the plan. We're just going to make a bunch of iron bars and turn those into knives and 1 or 2 best in slots. Iron is really quick at blast furnace, so we can get a lot of XP without spending too much money and stocking up on some ranged training gear. Then we're going to do steel bars. The way the blast furnace works is you use 1 less coal than normal, so we only need 1 coal per steel bar. So we can do a full inventory of steel at once with the coal bag in our inventory. Although it's less XP per hour, it's technically the most efficient XP per coal as a result. Then we will also do some 10-minute intervals of gold. Then we're going to turn the steel bars into knives and gear to sell until level 60. At level 60, we can use the blast furnace without paying the foreman, and we gain access to the anvil in the blast furnace, which is much closer than the one we're using currently. There's an achievement diary task for asking the blast furnace foreman to use the furnace, so we knocked that out. Our next strategy is to begin making myth bars. The most XP friendly way to do this is to fill the coal bag with coal, your inventory with gold. Do runs with this until the blast furnace is full of coal. It can hold up to 254 coal. Then you run myth ore while simultaneously filling up the coal bag. We aren't going to sell the gold unless we desperately need cash. The plan is to do this up until 68, at which point we can make myth plate bodies and sell them to Jorzit. Now I know what you're thinking, Bruce, what are you gonna do when you run out of ore? You don't have enough coal, you already said that. Luckily, Orden over here exists. He sells myth ore for 243 GP each and coal for 67 GP each, meaning a myth bar sells for 377 GP because you need 2 coal. Orden's prices do not decrease as you buy more, and Ironmen have a separate stock from mains, meaning getting stock just requires a bunch of world hopping. The blast furnace cost works out to around 30 GP per bar, making the overall cost of buying ore and making a bar 405 GP. Conversely, the plate bodies sell to Jorzik for 3,120 or 624 GP per bar. Jorzik restocks every 5 minutes, so with the world hopping again, I should be able to just sell at max price and make a profit of 219 GP per bar, coupled with the ores I have, meaning I'm making over 40 mil in profits from this grind. Unfortunately, this isn't what happened, sort of. Remember when I said Jorzik restocks every 5 minutes? Well, I said that because the wiki said that. After a lot of error, confusion, frustration, and just sitting on my main iron monitoring the store for hours, I discovered Jorzik doesn't restock every 5 minutes. Jorzik doesn't restock. The plate bodies sold just stay there. The only time his store resets is with the weekly update when all stores reset. This means as opposed to selling a single plate body per world, I need to find a way to max out weekly profits so that I have enough money to make as many bars as possible each week. This is probably not optimal, but what I landed on was splitting up between plate bodies, plate legs, and plate skirts, all which sell for solid profits. I would wake up on Wednesday morning when the servers reset, log on, and immediately sell 5 to 8 plate bodies, 3 plate legs, 3 plate skirts to each world each week. This netted me roughly 3.5 to 4 mil each week, which equals almost 800k to 1 mil smithing XP a week. With our existing ores and eventual influx of adamant, this can be stretched out to over 1.5 million smithing XP a week. In the background while I've been explaining this, you'll notice I've reached over 80 smithing. I'm going to cut to non-narrator live optimistic Bruce for a quick statement on how long he thinks this will take. This should take me around 9 weeks, I think, which takes me to the end of May. And we reached 85 smithing before the end of the month. We have our pattern down, and this is what we will be doing every week for the next 9 weeks. A rare lamping update. We are at 29 agility. We're actually stopping here because if we hit 30, we need to do petals to level 46 for a shortcut. And that's not bad. That's actually quite fine. But there is a real possibility we roll towards Relica without unlocking Valador first. And if that happens, we have 30 plus agility. We would need to get 80 agility with the petals, which works out to roughly 3k XP per hour or over 650 hours on the petals. Look, I'm down for crazy grinds, but I'm not going to self-inflict them. And 87 smithing, 88 smithing. We can now make Addy plate bodies, which are a best in slot task for stab defense, and sell to Jorzik for 16.6k while costing 1005 GP in coal to make. This should generate 20 mil for us and really help stabilize the cash influx to make it so we can pump out 1.2 to 1.6 million XP a week. We have our next new lamp. I'm going to lamp Hunter up to 16 and hold there. As most chunkers know, 17 is unlocking Puro if we happen to get a crop circle. $89 smithing coming through. That means rune short swords, rune dark tips, rune nails, Shazian helms, and more importantly, I can use a little drinky drink and I can make a rune scimitar. And a new best in slot with the rune scimitar. 90 smithing, 91 smithing, rune full helm, and rune knives, which are both best in slots. 92 smithing, rune squared shield. If I were elected president, 4-armed Dami Goth mommies for everybody. A 4-armed Dami Goth mommy in every household. That's my political campaign. Oh, I got so distracted. Ladies and gentlemen, that is 93 smithing. Oh my gosh, we did it. That means we can get rune square shields, Shazian plate bodies, and we can now boost up to rune warhammers. Boom. We now have a rune warhammer, which is a best in slot strength. $94 smithing, and we can now make the rune battle axe, which is a best in slot. And there it is, 95 smithing, 4 levels left. Just a few more mil XP. We can now make rune battle axes officially. We can boost up to rune chain bodies, which is a new best in slot. Wake up, buy ore, world hop, buy ore, blast furnace, wake up, make plate bodies, buy ore. This week I only got 1 mil XP. I'm falling behind. I had a lot of meetings, so I couldn't buy ore. I should stream tonight. I need to make a new alert and command what music. Should I be making arrowheads or just plate bodies? What if I don't make enough? 9 weeks. 9 weeks. I told everyone. Who did you think you were that you thought? You think you're Limport or Buzz? You're not dedicated enough to do arrowheads or just plate bodies. What if I don't make enough? I told everyone. Shut up. I need to take a break. So what happened? I got burned out. The truth is that first May clip was May 17th. The last April clip was April 26th. I was tired. I was depressed. I have chronic depression already, and it was just getting worse. I took a break in early May. I played other games, getting just enough XP to stay in the Chunk clan. I went on my honeymoon and spent a week completely offline of RuneScape, enjoying nature, bird watching, and eating amazing food in Maine with the love of my life. I came back and I tried to stream and play again. It lasted less than a week. I wasn't ready. I avoided the questions. When was I going to stream again? When would I get 99 smithing? When was my chunk roll? Instead, I played V Rising with my friends. My parents visited and I got to show them my new home a year after I left my home state. I needed balance. I needed to catch up on everything that wasn't RuneScape. I was streaming and it felt like an obligation after a day of work when my social battery was drained, putting on a mask to socialize on stream. I was playing insane hours and setting deadlines and expectations on myself that no one else expected. Just me. I eventually decided I'd only stream major updates and major milestones, and instead focus on making this little video, the one I had planned to release in May. I cut back on my hours and diversified what I was doing on the account. I still play a lot, but nowhere near the intensity or hours or pressure I had been playing. And more than anything, I remembered why I started this account in the first place, for the fun and the challenge and the community. I had lost that, and I found it again. It seems this happens to a lot of Supreme-style accounts. They start out with a blaze of glory, getting millions of XP in their first month or two before flaming out. I carried that intensity through 3 months before the burnout hit me. But like they say, you never quit RuneScape, you just take breaks. This next clip was on June 20th. And just for reference, this is being edited and recorded at the very beginning of August. And I still feel pretty good. I'm really enjoying this account. Take a break, people. Remember to breathe. Please. 96 smithing, and I can now make the rune kite shield. I did forget, with this boost, we can now make a rune kite I forgot a hammer. I mean I forgot a hammer. And boom, rune kite shield made. That is a new best in slot. 97 smithing. Now make rune kite shields. So we have made one minor optimization to the blast furnace smithing process. Normally what I do is I go and I buy ores, I blast furnace them, and then I come over here and I smith them, right? We've been through this process for millions of experience. But one thing I started doing that I think is a bit macro-wise more efficient, it's going to decrease my perceived smithing XP per hour, but not my actual smithing per hour. Is doing this. So now that I'm no longer doing plate bodies and plate skirts, or plate skirts and plate legs, I'm only making plate bodies. It means I can only make 5. There's no amount of additional space that makes it so I can't make 5. So I have 3 extra slots, 1 for the hammer. And what I've started doing is including a coal bag and gold. So as opposed to having to make dedicated trips, because running back and forth is the longest part, I just come over by Orden on my way through, fill a coal bag, fill a mithril ore, and it helps me get ore a little bit faster because I'm taking less overall trips. And then if I happen to run back and this guy's empty, or I realize he's empty, I hop world like I normally would when purchasing. One of the benefits of this is it reduces, how do I put this? It reduces the amount of time I'm not getting XP in my mind, right? It's all relatively the same amount. I probably should have hopped there. It's all relatively the same amount, but in order to get enough mithril and coal for a level, I'm spending I'm spending a full day and a half just buying ore. And then blast furnacing this one, and then a day and a half. And that's starting to get a really long time where I'm just not gaining XP. And even though I am contributing to the account, it just feels like it's dragging on. Whereas this kind of breaks it up. So I'm buying as I'm actually getting XP. Once I finish all my bars, I go and I have a decent stack of ores that I can then just blast furnace right then and rinse and repeat. We are now with this inventory officially going to hit 98 smithing. That's insane. One level, one left. Oh my god, one left. We now have enough mithril ore for 99 smithing. We need roughly 44,000 coal. No more buying. I officially have enough coal to reach 99 smithing. We are on the final stretch. Guys, this is my first 99 in RuneScape. I've never gotten a 99 in RuneScape before. I've played this game on and off since it came out, since like 2002. And I've never gotten a 99 before. So we're going to do that. We did it. We did it. Let's go. Oh my god. Oh, that feels so good. 99 smithing. And we had to do it with the Runekite shield just for Yari and Rama. Oh my god. I didn't know if this was ever going to happen. That's so cool. Congratulations, you're now a master smith. Why not go visit Thurgo? I'll tell you why I won't visit Thurgo, dang it. I'm so bummed I'm not going to be able to get an untrimmed smithing cape. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. Thank you to this, like, freaking community. God, I love y'all. Oh, man. Look at the clan chat. Thank you to the people who showed up to the stream. Thank you to Blue, Rama, and Yariosho who showed up for the actual getting 99. I was trying so hard not to cry in that moment. I've never gotten a 99. Like I said, so this is a really big moment for me. I was going through so much self-doubt, if you could not tell from the earlier bit. Thanks everyone so much for sticking around, and thanks to the One Chunk community. You really make this possible. Thank you to the Chunk streamers who introduced me to this game mode and took me under their wing, explaining things and providing help sometimes with streaming or recording or whatever it is. So shout out to Yariosho who introduced me to this game mode. Shout out to Foley, Spoon, Ordo, Hannibal, Agile Tom, Blue, Extreme Gnome, and so many others I'm probably forgetting right now as I'm doing this off the top of my head. If I forgot you, I apologize. I love you. Thank you so much to the community who's in the chat of every single chunker, chatting it up, supporting everyone along the way. You all are just as important as the people rolling the chunks. Thank you so much. If you're still watching this in the first few days after I released it, I should be rolling my next chunk pretty soon. I'll try to pin it in a comment or something. I'll probably see you with another video in about a month going over the second half of this chunk. Thank you, everyone, and remember to take care of yourselves. Have a good one.